Hi there, my name is Janet Gershon-Siegel and I'm the Lonely Writer. This is serious social media help for the independent author. This month I am doing daily prompts for NaNoWriMo. Now the prompts kind of can't be strung together in order if you were going to really write a story, but hopefully you can use some of these to spur your creativity and mix them up. Now, today's prompt is, it's the word grandparent. And the reason why I'm using this prompt is because I took creative writing in college and a very similar kind of prompt was used. And basically what you're talking about here is kind of what does it mean when we say someone is a grandparent? I mean, it's a pretty obvious definition, but we also kind of look at it in terms of age. But then again, maybe we don't, because if the parent was very young and the grandparent was very young, then a grandmother or father could conceivably be spending time with their grandchild and could look like a parent because it's a young grandparent. And this can also happen if an older child is adopted by your child, so that your grandchild kind of was born earlier than would be expected. So we do think about age. We may think of, gray-haired women baking cookies, although that's not always the case, or distinguished gentlemen, or maybe puttering around the house, but that's not always the case as well. Is it a family relationship only? There are cultures where they may refer to an elderly person as grandmother or grandma or grandfather and the like. It may also be a bit about nostalgia. Now, my own grandparents on my mother's side, they were both born in New York. And so they had fairly heavy accents, and I remember visiting them when they were in retirement in Florida. Uh, and I do remember my grandmother baking. I remember my grandfather as also kind of a tinkerer. Now, but the difference is that on my father's side, I didn't know my grandfather. My grandfather died actually before even my brother was born. My brother's older than me. But my grandmother was an immigrant from Austria, so her experience was very different. Now, I also remember her cooking, but she had a lot of problems with English, so it was a much more difficult relationship. It's harder to get close to her because we didn't really understand each other that well. Now, the question is, can a grandparent only be about genetics? Or can an unrelated person be kind of like that? And I would say absolutely yes. My folks are friends with like a younger generation of people who are immigrants from Mumbai rather, and their children who are a little younger than me, so it's sort of like the generation's a little bit in between. Their kids who are actually about 20 or so years younger than I am, feel like my folks are in a way their American grandparents. Now, can we look at it a little bit differently? Are we looking at a grandparent as being like a wise elder? Or do we look at them as somebody who's getting older, they're slowing down, they're becoming enfeebled, whether it's physically or it's potentially intellectually? Now, that doesn't always happen, of course, but those are absolutely stereotypical ways that we look at aging. So by thinking about grandparents, partly we're thinking about aging, but we're also thinking about the relationship. So what I ask you is, what does being a grandparent, what does someone being a grandparent, what does that mean to you? And again, as always, this is Janet Gershon-Siegel. I'm the Lonely Writer, because an independent writer never has to be alone. Thank you so much for listening, and good luck with NaNoWriMo.